There are so many different options in terms of which liquidity pools to allocate your own assets. So, how do you know where the best bang for your buck is? I took a long break from content creation, but I'm back and working at it again. Don't worry though, even though I haven't been creating content, I've definitely been staying in tune with all of the recent updates. I've been playing ranked battles, using Splex's rental services, testing out the Archmage bot, and most importantly, enjoying the community of my guild, YGG, Yield Guild Games. Just a quick shout out, we are recruiting active members, so feel free to reach out if you're interested. Now, onto what everyone has been talking about. SPS Airdrops just ended, and new liquidity pools are out. From the recent Peak D posts, we see that a lot of SPS and DEC has been allocated to the different liquidity pools involving Splinterland assets to help keep the economy stable. The burning question that was on my mind, and likely on most people's minds, is, okay, I've got a million options to place my assets. Josie, which one is the best? Let's pause for a quick disclosure. None of this is financial advice. I am walking through my own thoughts and how I plan to participate in liquidity pools. First and foremost, if you do not know what a liquidity pool is, make sure you do a little bit of research to understand the basics of it. I don't plan on walking through the details in this specific video, but if there are enough questions, I may create a separate video on Intro to liquidity pools. At a high level, Splinterlands is giving out tokens to us for providing liquidity on different tokens. For example, if you wish to participate in the SPS and DEC liquidity pool, there's a bucket of SPS and DEC that the Splinterlands team will distribute among liquidity providers in order to incentivize people like us to provide liquidity. On top of that, you also receive a share of the transaction fees as people use the liquidity pools to swap their own assets. With that being said, there are so many different options in terms of which liquidity pools to allocate your own assets. So, how do you know where the best bang for your buck is? There are two critical variables to look at to make your decision. The first is the current APR in each pool, and the second is the risk of impermanent loss. Let me explain the first. Each pool's APR. I love the tool that Peak Monsters has put out to help us look at this. We'll shift over to the Peak Monsters page to look. If you've never used Peak Monsters, the team has put together a very all-inclusive site to help you buy, sell, analyze, and view all of the different assets in the game. I would highly recommend you check it out. Once you've arrived at the peakmonsters.com website, log into your username and click on your profile at the top right. A couple buttons down, you will see a SPS and a DEC rewards page. Click on it and take a look at the different SPS staking and liquidity provider rewards. Under the LP rewards section, these are all of the liquidity pools available to players like you and me. For each liquidity pool, the Peak Monsters tool shows you the chain, the current liquidity, the eligible shares, the monthly rewards, and the APR. The APR is the most important part right now. The higher the APR, the more passive income you can potentially make. And that is what you want. You might be saying, well, Josie, that's easy. Use Peak Monsters tool and put money in the liquidity pool with the highest APR. Yes, but also not really. The second variable to look at is the potential for impermanent loss. If it's your first time participating in liquidity pools, you need to know that the algorithm in the liquidity pool tries to maintain a constant value balance between the two assets by increasing and lowering prices as tokens are traded. It might be worth looking into a separate video explaining impermanent loss, but the general gist is that if one asset rises significantly more than the other in the pool, then you have a risk of losing value in your tokens. Just an example, say we put $50 of SPS at $1 and $50 of Hive at $1 into the SPS Hive pool. If both the value of SPS and Hive go up the same amount, there is no loss to your asset values. If for some reason SPS moons to $5 and Hive stays at $1, you might expect that value of your assets to become $250 of SPS and $50 of Hive. for a total of $300. But that is not the case for liquidity pools. What would happen is that there would be an arbitrage on your tokens where some outsider would come in, swap the bunch of hives for SPS, and lower the total SPS tokens you own, and increase the total hive tokens you own, therefore taking away some of your value appreciation. All that to say, to reduce impermanent loss, you want to look at whether tokens generally trend together in value. Let's just take a look at 3 popular ones. We'll trend their values over the last 3 months and see where they trend together and diverge. The closer they trend together, the lower the risk of impermanent loss. The further they divert, the more chances of impermanent loss. First, SPS and Hive. I've pulled CoinMarketCap data for the last 7 days, 30 days, and 60 days. You can see that they trend relatively okay together. The most recent pump in Hive prices, though, would result in impermanent loss if you had to put in tokens into the pool last week and wanted to take it out now. Now let's look at SPS and DC. This one seems to trend less together than SPS and Hive. This means that there may be more risk of impermanent loss. Now let's look at SPS and BNP. We can see here that they trend even closer together than SPS and Hive. This in general gives less risk of impermanent loss. Now it's hard to tell what the future impermanent loss will be, but as long as the APR makes up for any impermanent loss, you're in the green. All that to say, unless you can predict the future, you really don't know what's going to happen. I've chosen to diversify my liquidity pool positions and have put most of it into SPS DEC, even though the last 30-day trends have been off. This was mostly because I think in the short term, both DEC and SPS will move up. Once DEC is closer to its peg, I'll likely re-diversify it into Hive and focus on the SPS and Hive liquidity pool. Again, none of this is financial advice, but I think there is a lot of opportunity here to earn some passive income in liquidity pools. That's it for this week, fam. I'm really hoping to be more consistent in the future to bring y'all quality content weekly. If you've enjoyed this video and found value in this content, please help support me by liking the video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you're interacting from Peak D, make sure you follow me for more content like this. Lastly, if you have not started on your Splinterlands journey yet, I would love it if you use my affiliate link below. And if you do, I'd be happy to delegate you some cards to play with. That's it for this week. I will see you all in the next video. Bye! Liquidity pools. Liquidity pools.